Kayla.
And I'm Becky.
And this is our weekly wine.
Yeah.
So what is our weekly wine this week?
Well, I do have a confession to make as well as a surprise. Cabernet Sauvignon is my favorite wine.
Yes.
And I had a bottle of Dove Hunt Dog. Don't just love the name of that winery. And I opened it without you.
Oh, okay. But we have more for me to try.
Yes, I'm trying. I saved the other one because I know it's your favorite. But
yes.
I thought I would share this with you and so you could give a taste of it. I love Cabernet Sauvignon. I haven't found one yet I don't like. But Dove Hunt Dog, I just love the name of that winery, and they have some incredible wines as well. This particular Cabernet is like a blackberry mocha espresso type flavors. You can, taste them in there. And like I said, it's one of my favorite wines, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, I've had their Chardonnay, and I will say this, their wines are very, very rich. They're very full flavored. I like Cabernet Sauvignon, but this is definitely like the fullest flavored I've had.
Yeah, it is a very full-bodied wine, and that's what I really like about it. Actually, this particular brand, it comes from 3 different wineries in California that mesh their grapes together, and because of that, that's where you get all the complexities in the taste, is because it comes from 3 different vineyards. And I'm learning more and more about wine. It's depending on the soil and the altitude and everything, the rain, no rain, whatever, it really affects the flavor of the grapes, therefore it affects the flavor of the wine. So that was something interesting I learned. But now to your favorite wine.
Wait, do we need to clean our glasses first?
No, I think it'll be okay.
Okay.
This is a 2020 Malbec by Venti, which is from, it says Central Valley, Chile.
Nice.
Right? But one of the things about it, as I was reading, I've never tried this before. This is a new wine that came with my Scout Circle. So again, like I said last time, it's like a Christmas present every time you open it, because you never know what's going to be in there.
And I do love Malbec.
And with this, it's a very supposed to be very full-bodied and bold taste. And part of that is because it comes from a vineyard that is at like 20,000 feet up the mountains. And so there's some of the highest mountains in the world where grapes are actually grown. And because the air is so thin and dry, they don't have pests. Therefore, they do not use pesticides, which of course makes them a clean crafted wine. And they are able, to sell to Scout and Cellar.
Which means I can drink as much as I want tonight and not have a headache tomorrow.
That is good too.
It is. It's fruitier. That's what I like about Malbec. It's got that. You can taste the notes of the different fruit they use. Usually in Malbec they have a blueberry. I don't know what's in this.
This one is black cherry.
Black cherry
and boysenberry.
And boysenberry. What is boysenberry?
That's a good question. It's really something. It's like we have raspberries and blackberries and blueberries. A boysenberry is it's just a little different flavor, but it still gives you that same berry taste. Violet, it has flowers in it, so violet. And it has spices, and they don't tell you what spices, but they say that because of where it comes from, that's what gives it all of these flavors. Now, another thing, as I was reading about the wine, it said it's good to decant the wine, and as it's decanted and the air fills it, that it really lets all of the notes of the spices and everything come out. But I don't have a decanter.
Christmas list.
Sounds like a good plan for me.
Good Christmas present. And you can tell, like, the more it breathes, like, the more I can note the different smells, the different flavors. I'm terrible with being able to figure out what spices are what. Like, if
Me
it's
too.
not nutmeg, I don't know what it is.
Right. Well, this has vanilla in it as well.
Okay.
So, a good red wine goes well with steak, barbecue, that kind of thing. So, it is a good wine. So, here it is by Scout and Cellar, Venti 2020 Malbec.
And we will put the link in the show notes, so make sure to check that out.
Yeah. And so this week it is your turn to review the book that you were reading.
So my book of the month choice for November was White Horse by Erika T. Wurth. And I picked this for many reasons. For one thing, it's horror, which I was told today I've pronounced that wrong my entire life. I tried to tell someone I was reading a horror novel, and they thought I said something else.
Okay.
And it was my Southern Baptist preacher father who was like, "What are you reading? What are you reading now? Horse." And I'm like, no.
No.
And he said, "Horror. You mean horror." And I'm like, okay. So
That's how we pronounce it in the South.
That's how we pronounce it.
That's right.
Here. We don't say horror because people get confused.
They get very confused. Yes.
So,
And this is Horse.
this is White Horse by Erika T. Wurth. She is a Native American author, and this is Native American Month. November's Native American Month. So we are going to talk about different Native American authors in case you're looking for a good book to read, a good way to support Native American authors this month. Now, I am a fan of scary stuff. I like my spooks. So this is exactly the book I wanted to read this November. And it was a lot of fun for me to get into this. It was also, like, I have officially read 24 books from Book of the Month this year.
You are the book slayer.
So I got a book slayer bookmark. And
cool.
Other than the fact that my children keep trying to steal it and stab each other with it, it's great. It's great. All right. So I'm going to start with the summary, and then I'm going to go into talking about characters and pacing as well. So this book is about Carrie James, whose Native American mother disappears when Carrie is only 2 days old.
Oh.
Now, her father, Jim, is distraught by this. He's terribly upset, and he becomes an alcoholic. And at some point in Carrie's youth, when she's very young, her father is, because of his alcoholism, is in a car wreck, which results in brain damage. So instead of getting to grow up with a caring father who's taking care of her, she grows up with a caring father who she's having to take care of. And because of that, she holds a lot of resentment for her mom. She feels that her mom left her when she was 2 days old and basically blames her for every trouble in her life.
This sounds very sad.
Well, kind of. That's a very, that is the background at the very beginning.
Okay.
And Carrie is a very bitter adult. We find Carrie in adulthood. She's bitter. And her cousin Debbie, who has helped her take care of her father, who babysat with her when she was young, her cousin Debbie comes across this bracelet that had belonged to Carrie's mother. It's a very old Native American antique, and she brings it out and she gives it to Carrie. As soon as Carrie touches it, she is able to see dead people. A lot of dead people, including the ghost of her mother. And the ghost of her mother is always very sad and very scared. And it becomes very clear to Carrie that her mother didn't leave her, but was probably murdered.
Oh.
So it takes Carrie a while, but she eventually realizes, I need to forgive my mother. I need to move on. And so that my mother's spirit can rest, I need to find out who killed her. And that is the plot, the spoiler-free plot, because that all happens very early in the story. That is where we are in the beginning of the book.
Okay.
And it's her trying to find out who killed her mother and also dealing with family affairs and everything else.
Right.
So first of all, and I do want to handle this first, a little bit of a trigger warning. There are two couples in this that are borderline abusive couples. Like one, yeah, crosses that line, but the other, the husband is very controlling, and that is Debbie. As an adult, Debbie and her husband, they have this sort of, it's not a great marriage. He is very controlling. He doesn't want Debbie hanging out with other people, specifically with Carrie, and that causes a lot of tension in the book. And I will say this, Erika T. Wurth handles this situation better than any other author I've read, because in my life, I've known people, I have not personally been in a relationship like that because I'm too feisty, but I have known women who have been in relationships with controlling men. I have known guys who've been in relationships with controlling women.
True.
And the way Erika T. Wurth handles this with Debbie and how she loves her husband but realizes he has flaws, she handles it very well. It is the best, the most realistic portrayal of a relationship like that I've seen in fiction. Like, there's at no point that it's sugar-coated. There's at no point that it's exaggerated. The author does a great job handling that. But if you are triggered by that sort of thing, maybe step back. Know that she handles it realistically. Know that every character in that relationship is given kind of a sympathetic nod.
Good. That's good.
But it is there. So just be wary when you pick up the book. Okay. And you should pick up the book. Now on to characterization. So I always like looking at how characters are portrayed in this. And I want to talk mostly about Carrie, because I really love the character of Carrie. She to me, she is the farthest thing from a horror genre heroine. She is actually much more of a noir detective. So if you've ever read Sarah Grand's Claire DeWitt novels, they are noir detective, old school. Her and Claire DeWitt could have the most awesome conversation. I kind of want to see that. So Sarah Grand, make that happen. Y'all need to meet up. But she has this personality of, she's bitter, she's been through a lot, she's seen a lot, she has her addiction, she is definitely an alcoholic. And she really does not want to be the hero of the story. So I appreciate the complexity of the character, especially as this is a debut novel. To have a character that is so complex was really refreshing. And to have a character in the whole scary movie role who is as cool as she is was also very refreshing.
That's good.
So I also want to talk about pacing. Now, I prefer thrillers and mysteries, and those are typically very, very fast-paced. The only issue, and it's not a big issue, because it works somehow. The only issue I found in this is it's a little slow at the beginning. Like, most of the time when you're reading any work of fiction, the hero or heroine, they have a moment where they choose to go on that adventure. Where, in Carrie's case, like, she chooses to investigate her mother's murder. And it's some big moment that is a big turning point in the novel, and it's just like that. Now the adventure has started. With Carrie, and this kind of goes back to her character, she's very stubborn. She does not want to forgive her mother. She wants to blame all of her problems on her mother's disappearance.
Instead of taking ownership for some of it herself.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
she takes a very long time to kind of accept her adventure. It was probably chapter 20 before she's finally like, oh, okay, so I guess I should accept that this bracelet allows me to see spirits, even though I've been seeing them for 20 chapters. It does take a long time, but once you get there, it is well worth it. So buckle in those first 20 chapters, pay attention. I swear it's worth it once you get further in. Now, the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to this novel, since it is the horror genre, is it scary? I have a hard time being scared by books.
Yeah.
Like, there are really only two authors who have scared me, and that's Grady Hendrix, and it was more like he made me uncomfortable, and Alex North. Like, just some of the topics made me a little uncomfortable. Given I never got through Joe Hill's Nosferatu, but yeah, I read the first chapter and was like, oh, this is about child murder. No, thank you. Bye. No. But I don't typically get scared. Now, there are some unsettling moments. Some of the ghosts, specifically her mother, are described in ways that are very graphic, I guess. But it's one that if you wanted to read it, and I know you don't usually do the scary stuff,
right?
I'd be like, yeah, you can read this and it won't give you nightmares, because the mystery at the end is it very much outweighs the horror thing. Like I said, if I were putting this in a genre, I would put it in noir. The publisher's not going to put it as noir because noir doesn't sell very well. But it is definitely more of a noir thing. She becomes that sort of detective. And because of my attachment to Carrie by the end of the novel, I would love to see a series with her just going out and fighting ghosts. It could be like the best ghost hunter noir mystery series out there. And I would very much enjoy reading that. So Erika T. Wurth, please write another. Tell me more about Carrie James. I would be super excited. Overall, I think I would give this probably 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the only reason it has just that half star is, like I said, it was a little tough to get into at first.
Yeah.
But it was worth it for the character. Like, that was a good choice by the author, in my opinion.
Okay, cool.
So what do you think? Is it one you'd read?
Well, when I read the synopsis of all 5 books that Book of the Month gave, that was, there were 3 that I considered. Wilder Women, which is one of them that I'm reading now. And I considered this one, and then one other one. But when I read the description of this, I said, I bet this is the one Kayla will like. And it's, we don't order the same books because we share books. And that way we're very more frugal with our money. We don't double spend on the same books. So,
yes. Although
it is one that I would consider reading. Yes.
Yeah. It was well worth the read.
Okay.
I would highly recommend it. And if you're looking for a book by a Native American author this month, this would be one that you could pick up. I also have some others I want to recommend. So give me just a second, because it's been a while since I've read some of these. First off, Firekeeper's Daughter, which is a YA novel. And if you know me,
I love young adult.
She loves young adult. If you know me, if you followed the blog, you know that it's young adult is typically not my thing. Well, part of my thing is I taught teenagers. I taught young adults for 10 years.
I did too. And I was their principal, and I love them. And I even had a book club for my middle schoolers at one of my schools, because I wanted to relate to them and see where they were going. So it just kind of spurred the love for young adult in me.
And I get that, but it's hard sometimes for me to read a young adult novel when, spending 8, 9, 10 hours a day with teenagers. And my big thing when I read is dialogue.
True.
Because I started out as a playwright.
Right.
And when the dialogue is off just a little, that will make me not finish a book. So when you are living and breathing teenager world, and you know how they talk, and then you pick up a novel that is supposedly about teenagers,
and you go, they didn't.
And I'm like, they don't talk like that. No, that's not how they talk.
But I always think that's the way they want to talk.
Yeah, that might be true. I don't know. Most teenagers communicate through memes today and true. TikTok. So I can see how that'd be hard to put on paper. But Firekeeper's Daughter, YA or not, is hands down one of the best books I've probably read. It trigger warning, there's some sensitive topics. If you look up the book, you will see what those are. Yeah. But it deals with Native Americans on a reservation and what kind of reservation life is like. Much like Carrie James, the Native American girl who's the center of this story, is half Native American. Okay. And she makes the decision whether or not to join the tribe. There is a mystery at the center of everything. There's a lot going on in that book, and it is a great read. Okay, good. Especially, I feel like after I finished reading that, I had a better understanding of Native American culture, especially life on a reservation. The next one is one of my absolute favorite novels. It is a mystery thriller called Winter Counts. And the author of this is David Headley Wimbley Whedon. And I hope I pronounced all those names correctly, because the book is absolutely amazing. If you like mystery thrillers, I read a lot of them. I probably read like 50 of them a year, and it is in my top 10. So if you haven't read Winter Counts and you like mystery thrillers, I don't feel like there's much I can say about it without giving away the plot.
Yeah, no spoilers.
So go pick it up. Yeah. Go pick up that book.
Okay.
If you're more of a literary fiction person, Tommy Orange wrote There. It is a little more episodic. It's about the journey of a Native Americans. And if you're into literary fiction, it's one that the plot is really hard to describe because it's a lot of different stories coming together. But if you're into more literary fiction, There, I believe it won the Pulitzer Prize. I know it won a lot of literary awards. So definitely consider that one. Okay. So now for what are we doing next week, Becky?
Well, if I get finished with this, Wilder Women, I will be reviewing it. Do you ever read 2 books at one time?
Yes. In fact, I tend to listen to one book and read another one.
Well, here we are. I have 2 going at the same time. This was my free book. I mentioned last week the Aardvark Book Club and how great their customer service was. And when the original book was coming in late, they gave me a free choice, and I chose this by Jess Kidd because I really enjoyed Things in Jars by her. So I'm into this one a little bit, and I'm further along in this one, but this was one of my book of the month choice. So anyway, I'm reading both of these, and whichever one I happen to finish will be the one we talk about next week. So,
and you're getting your new aardvark.
Yes, it's coming. Week. Yes, I'm excited.
And I'm going to steal at least one of them.
Yes.
To read. So we will be reviewing an aardvark coming up soon.
Yes. Okay. Well, thanks. Great night. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week for our weekly wine.
All right. Bye, guys.